Hey guys! Welcome back to our channel. Magandang gabi sa inyo mga ka-Sando Gang. Welcome. Comment Sando Gang para ma-shoutout kayo mga sir, mga ma'am. Kamusta po kayong lahat? Ngayong gabi, pag-uusapan natin muna syempre. Meron tayong i-introduce na bagong game. Excited na ba kayo mga kapatid, mga ka-Sando? Comment Sando Gang muna. Comment Sando Gang para naman ganahan tayo ng konti. Kasi alam niyo naman, Wednesday ngayon, they call it bump day. Diba? So, sa mga nanonood dyan, yung mga kasando natin, grabe. Tagalog tayo ngayon, pero para sa inyo, itatranslate ko in English. Kasi mahal na mahal ko kayo. That's how much I love you guys. So, kailangan maunawaan natin kung ano yung pag-uusapan ngayong gabi. At inimbitahan natin, syempre, yung dalawang founders ng game na i-introduce natin. Kaya be excited. Comment Sandogang. Wala bang Sandogang dyan? Yun? Sandogang gang, yun. Wala kayong ayuda kapag di kayo nagsandogang. No? So itong game na to, sigurado ko naririnig nyo na, nakikita nyo na at lahat tayo, syempre lahat ay excited no na malaman kung ano yung game na to. So you can go to Illuvium.io. So ito kaka-launch lang nung website nila, guys. No, kasi nung umpisa wala pa tayong makita na website, pero ngayon, di ba? Ngayon meron na tayong website na pwedeng makita, pwede tayong mag-hover. Kung gusto niyo malaman about the game, pag-uusapan natin yan at mamimigay tayo ng $100 doon sa dalawang best questions no, na makikita natin sa comment. So, huwag kayong mag-alala. Meron kayong may uuwi ngayong gabi no, dahil lahat tayo ay mag-e-enjoy at mag-a-ask tayo ng mga questions dito sa ating guest ngayong gabi. So, without further ado, syempre we have 104,000 viewers. that's times 1,000. Okay, so that's how we're growing fast. Okay, so shout out mga gang, Sando Gang. All right. So if you have questions, please put in the comments and we will yung founders pipili sila mamaya ng best question. So wag kayong mahihiya. Nag-ready din tayo ng mga questions. So ayan, so lahat tayo very excited na. So ngayon guys, kung meron kayong mga gustong ipa-shoutout, no? Huwag nyo kakalimutan, Sando Gang, yan, very good yan. So pag suswertihin daw mamaya yung mga nag-hashtag ng Sando Gang. So kung marami kayong comments, mas maraming swerte. So live tayo ngayon sa YouTube, live din tayo sa Facebook. So sa mga may gustong tanong about doon sa game na to, ngayon na yung perfect time para magtanong mamaya. So wala na huwag na natin patagalin. No, please help me welcome Aaron and Kieran from Eluvium, the Warwick brothers. Hello, sir.
Hey
guys.
How you doing?
Awesome. So it's already 8 p.m. here in the Philippines, and I know, I think it's almost midnight in your place. So can you tell us where you are right now, sirs?
So we're both based out of Sydney. He is in a suburb called Asquith, and I'm in Freshwater. So we're about 30 minutes away from each other.
Wow.
So it's not quite as hot as where you are.
Awesome. So guys, in-explain ko kanina, I was explaining a while ago to Aaron and Kieran why I'm wearing Sando, because our gang is called Sando Gang. Sando Gang is like a sleeveless shirt, you know. The story behind that is because there's a lot of streamers, female streamers that are wearing sleeveless. So we're going to fight them, and I'm the one that they're going to be the model. So that's why we are called Sando Gang. And Sando Gang, for you guys, if you don't know, sa mga viewers natin, kung di pa kayo nakasali doon sa Discord server natin, si Spracky, isisend niya yung Discord server link natin. Sando Gang is the Filipino community for NFT games, crypto collectibles, DeFi, and other related topics with over 1,500 members and growing. So maraming salamat sa pagsuporta. Kaya nakita ko sobra 145,000 na tayo, kulang pa tayo ng 50,000. So paramihin pa natin, guys. So ayan, so kung ready na kayo sa mga questions, no? Make sure lang na habang nanonood kayo, pumunta kayo sa Twitter ng Illuvium.io if you want to get to know more about the game itself, and then meron din sila yung Discord link nila, ipopost namin yan doon sa comment, yung discord.gg/Eluvium. So meron tayong Filipino channel doon sa Discord, so pwede tayo mag-usap doon ng Tagalog doon sa Discord server nila. Alright, so ayan, magtatanong din tayo ng mga questions para at least maunawaan natin we get to know more about the game, and of course kung ano yung future, ano yung pwedeng mangyari with Eluvium. So I'm really excited to be joined today by the team behind Illuvium. Maraming salamat. That's thank you to Aaron and Kiran. Illuvium is an open world RPG adventure game built on the Ethereum blockchain. And the goal of this AMA is to provide an opportunity for the Sando Gang community to learn more about Illuvium. So who the team are and what they are working on. So yung first part ng AMA guys, I will ask questions, no? And then, para malaman natin, matulungan tayo, maunawaan to help us learn more about Eluvium. And the second part is an open floor for the community. Kayo yon guys, magtatanong kayo ng mga questions na gusto nyo itanong sa kanila para mas maunawaan nyo yung game. Okay? So, okay ba tayo dyan? Ready na ba kayo? Comment ready? Ready? Are you ready, guys? Comment ready?
We're ready.
I'm ready.
Wow, there's a lot of questions already. Okay, wait guys, you're already on fire. We have Rampire. Later we will show you. Okay, I love the cinematic video. So we will show you later on. So let's start off with the basic introduction. Sir, please introduce yourself, Aaron and Kiran, and tell us about a bit about Eluvium.
Sure. So my name is Kieran. I'm one of the core contributors, one of the co-founders. Eluvium is essentially it's a decentralized protocol with a game built on top of it. The game, as you were saying, it's an open RPG world. We built it to be a really massive, I guess, open world that people can continue to discover over time. It's not meant to be, an hour and you've gone through the entire game. It's a long journey on that. But Aaron can probably speak a little bit better to the game design. But how it sort of came about was so, as you probably know, Kane, our other brother, he's got a protocol Synthetics. And he's obviously been heavily involved in the DeFi industry or the DeFi space for 3, 4, 5 years now. And it was about midway through last year. I used to be involved with investing in Ethereum, and we had a platform back then for Bitcoin transfers. But it wasn't until last year when really the yield farming craze took off that he said, look, you seriously need to get back into this. It's it's crazy how much money you can make, and I know that you're gonna love it. And it was so I did that for a few months, and then I started getting really interested in the NFT projects that I was seeing, and I've always wanted to make a game. Same thing with Aaron. We're 4 boys in our family, so we grew up playing games all our lives.
Do you fight a lot?
Sorry?
Do you fight a lot when you were younger?
What do you mean when we're younger?
We're still doing it now, but yeah, I mean we're very ultra competitive. Our dad was a tennis player, so I guess it sort of comes from that background. And yeah, I saw this emerging space, and I thought it would be the next big thing for DeFi. And Aaron's background is in engineering, and so computer engineering, and he's been heavily involved in gaming for a number of years now. So it really just made sense to team up with Aaron and say, hey, let's give this a crack and see if we can build a game that's bigger than Kane's protocol. And so that's kind of how Eluvium was born.
Awesome. That explains the competitiveness of you guys as brothers.
Oh, yeah. We would even compete against each other on who is the most competitive, I guarantee you.
I was literally just about to say I'm probably the most competitive, but I guess I'm probably right.
It's okay. You're allowed to be wrong some of the time, Kieran.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So, I'll hop on to our first question. So what inspired the idea for Illuvium?
Do you want to take that one, Kiss?
Yeah, so I grew up in the 90s when collecting was a massive, massive thing. And my favorite thing to collect that I can remember just almost every single little detail about it is Pokemon. And so that's where my inspiration came and what I was really trying to make in a game. Unfortunately, Aaron didn't share as much of the same view as I did, not even at all. In fact, he tried to convince me, hey, I think sneakily a little bit a couple of times as well, how we can
very openly
how we can get around doing the Pokemon game and we can go straight to an auto battler. So, and an auto battler, we built it basically off League of Legends Teamfight Tactics, which is probably, it's in the last 10 years, it's been my favorite game to play. And I think it would be similar for Aaron as well. And so, we couldn't just drop the collecting side of it because in NFTs and DeFi, it's too big a draw card, and I wouldn't have let it happen anyway. So we ended up melding the two ideas together, and we're basing Eluvium off two genres, really, which is, the open world collection RPG and an auto battler all in one.
Wow. So we passed on Aaron a while ago. So sorry for that. But can you introduce or give us a little bit of your background to our community?
Yeah. So I'm Aaron. Obviously, we're both brothers, and he got most of it pretty spot on. I've loved making games since I was a kid. Even when we were boys, we would always just go into the backyard. We would have a stick and a piece of paper, and suddenly we had an intricate game that took us 5 hours to play and always ended with an argument. So there's always been that game design element that runs through our family. At about 15, I started coding, and I started to design some characters for a game called Total Annihilation. And I really got hooked on the idea of maximizing the enjoyment and fairness of the game. And I saw that there was a big gap in that game at the time. And ever since then, I've always tinkered with different game designs and making my own small games. My background is computer engineering and physics. So I think that helps a little bit. I honestly don't have a large background in the blockchain space. Mm-hmm. I love the math behind the blockchain space. So I tend to be more fascinated by, like, what does SHA-256 function actually do? How does it secure things? The nuts and bolts of it, rather than the financial side or the sales side of it. I leave all of that up to Kieran. So I've had to get myself up to speed really quickly as far as all of the details with staking, yield farms, stuff like that. Probably halfway through last year, I wouldn't have been able to tell you that much, but I learned fairly quick. So I think I've picked up a reasonable pace. And yeah, I do the game design for Illuvium, and I also act as one of the producers and the main story writer at the moment, but I'm starting to move out of that role now that it's got the shape pretty much all the way there.
Wow. This is for sure a busy project for you guys. And follow-up question. So your project ticks so many boxes. I know NFTs in particular are usually topic this week or this past few weeks. Can you give us some background on the lore behind the game and the details on the team?
Yeah. So the lore behind Eluvium is a little bit secret because there are a lot of things that we would like players to be able to experience as they play the game. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell you every little detail about it. I'll throw in some hints here and there that people on our Discord server can rack their brains over for the next few weeks. But effectively, you are a player that has crash landed on an alien planet. You're surrounded by these deity-like monsters that possess quite interesting and not magical, but sort of in that sci-fi magic realm powers, and your job is to fight back and claim this land. There's a little bit more lore that goes into a fairly interesting religious element with the game, but we won't be releasing too much of that right now.
Mhm.
But the feel that we want to have with the game is that when you land, you don't know much about what's going on, but by the end, you'll have a pretty good understanding of exactly what has happened on this alien planet. And as far as the team goes, we're now sitting, we might even be 45 strong. We just hired 2 more people yesterday. So I don't know the exact numbers, but it's definitely over 40. We have people from all sorts of backgrounds. Because we're a fairly high quality artwork game, there's a lot more people involved in the creation of each Eluvium than in some other titles. So, ours go through concept art. You've got the 3D high definition model. Then we have to make it game ready. We've got expert texture artists. We have animators. We have sound engineers. A lot of them have either worked on big Hollywood movies or in big games in the past. And we're trying to give a little bit of that cinematic feel to a game that at its heart is fairly simple. So I guess people will start to know more about the individual members on the team as the game goes live, because they'll start to see the work that they've done. And I think they'll build a little bit of a fan base, because I think Kieran might agree that the stars of the core of our project are not us. They're definitely the other core contributors that are unbelievable.
100%. Yeah. So we'll be doing a few marketing pieces on our lead artists and lead engineers as we go along, because as Aaron was saying, they come from really, really strong backgrounds. They're all, 10 years plus doing their craft. And, we're pretty, our level of that we expect from our core contributors is pretty high. And we need, if we're going to be able to deliver in the time frame that we're saying, and while still keeping up the quality that we've delivered to date, we need to be hiring the highest caliber staff that we can, or core contributors, bringing them onto the project that we can. So yeah, but as Aaron said, it's all the team. They're really, really amazing. They put in, the amount of hours they put in is enough to just blow you away. It's insane.
Yeah. And I've noticed that with this image right now that we're looking at, it looks familiar, because in the Philippines we have a lot of beach side. So I'm not sure if this is inspired with El Nido, Palawan, or Boracay, or have you been into any places in the Philippines? I'm just curious.
I can tell you for an absolute certainty that it unfortunately has not been inspired by the Philippines. There are certain elements of the game that we have to draw from things that we know. So there's definitely going to be elements of the regions that people say, hey, that looks familiar, or it has a similar style to a place that I know, and stuff like that. But this world is very, very broken, and you'll start to see that over time.
Awesome. So I'm very excited to show our audience right now. That's the reason why I'm standing by in this page, because I want to our audience to see the latest trailer that you have, the cinematic trailer. Let's play that first. So our audience can be more excited. Are you guys excited? This is the I think second trailer, but this is the cinematic trailer for the Eluvium. So let's all watch this.
Awesome. How'd you like that
All right.
little Easter egg?
All right, guys. Sorry for the audio technicalities, but you can watch the trailer on their YouTube channel. Subscribe and click the notification bell so you can get to know more about the project and the game itself. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's the favorite part. My favorite part is the one vampire. I think it's doing that superpowers.
Is he
That
giving you Charizard vibes?
Yes, yes, yeah. And most of our comments right now are saying that it's like an upgraded version of Pokemon. So anyway, this is very exciting, guys, and thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the messages, and I know you guys are all excited, but we still have some questions to ask to Kiran and Aaron, and just stay tuned because we are giving away tonight $100 for the two questions that they're going to choose and they will answer later on. So again, follow-up question: what are illuvials and how do players earn by playing the game?
Okay, so an alluvial is any of those monsters that you saw in that video. They're the ones that fight for you. You, as the player character, also fight in there, but the alluvials are those monsters. Now, what exactly they are is something that the player is going to have to discover as they play the game. There is a little bit of lore that goes behind them. There's debate from the people who have crash landed on this planet as to the exact nature of them. So I can't give too much away there. But from a mechanical point of view, each alluvial will have an affinity and a class, which allows you to customize your team so that you can beat other teams that other players have come up with. So very similar to the type situation that you have in Pokemon where a fire beats a grass, etc. We have something similar to that allows for counterplay to exist in the game. And then on top of that, they have a class which allows them to have other synergies that give them benefits as far as in a normal RPG setting, you would probably say they're similar to fighters and guardians and knights, stuff like that. So that's the general vibe of the characters and how they work out. But exactly what team is going to be best for you is going to have to be something that you experiment with to sort of work out what is best for you. Play to earn, we still haven't finalized every detail of exactly what parts of the game will be play to earn. I have a particular point of view that I would prefer it to be more related to competency-based events, so doing particular quests and tasks on top of the main thing, which will be competitions and tournaments. So that will be where the majority of the coins go to. We have put aside a full 10% of the entire supply of coins to go to in-game yield. So players will be able to earn a decent amount from the game. But my suggestion to all of the players would be learn the game and get good at it, because that's where you're going to earn the most, because we don't want to incentivize just simply grinding out hour after hour. We feel that might be something that puts a lot of money in the hands of bots, where we'd rather it be in the hands of the actual
Real players
that want that money, you know?
The one that interacts with the community and the metaverse.
Yeah, that's who needs to get those rewards.
Yeah, and it's good to say hi and hello during your journey.
That's right.
Yeah. So okay, we have a lot of questions, guys. Chill, but we will answer that. But we will cover that. But let me ask again some questions to the founders. Can you tell us about more about the Eluvium storyline? And because most people are interested in the storyline and the objectives of the game.
I could definitely tell you more about the objectives, because the storyline is something that we're holding as a very close secret. There are parts of the storyline that are only known amongst 3 people on the team. So I won't give away too much, but I will say
Leak.
there is
That's my
there is
and I'm definitely not going to.
Guys, comment leak. Guys, comment leak.
the important thing about the storyline of this game is that when you land on this planet, there are these things called obelisks that allow you to travel amongst the different regions. In fact, it's the only way that you can travel around, and not all of them will be activated on launch day. In fact, only a few of them will be activated at the start of play, and it will be up to the community to unlock those other regions. And without going too much into the details, if you're the person who manages to unlock a region, you'll probably be quite famous in our community, and there could be some decent reward to be got from that. So that's about as much as I'll say about the storyline. But objectively in the game, try and unlock the obelisks. You travel the world, you encounter these Eluvials, you battle them, you capture them, you try to create a team that fits your play style and matches your personality. You can even bond with one of your Eluvials so that you get a more intimate connection with them that gives you some enhanced stats. As far as other things that you can do in the game, we have mining and harvesting that allows you to get some short-term bonuses and also some long-term things that you can sell on our Eluvidex, which is our marketplace.
Nice.
And once you have made your team and got your weapons and armor and set yourself up and you know what you're doing, head on over to the ranked arena, hit me up, and we'll go at it and bash our heads together until one of us comes out victorious. And that's effectively the game.
Or you can meet me in the Leviathan arena where where the big dogs sit, and that's where you can go and take whatever team you want. We don't ratio anyone. It's essentially your team versus their team. Winner takes all, and you can bet any amount of ETH that you want.
Wow. So guys, to explain ko lang sa inyo yung pagkakaintindi natin doon sa mga leak na sinabi nila. So basically may mga nagtatanong kung paano mahuhuli yung Eluvials, paano ka makakuha. So basically, yung makikita niyo sa screen right now, yung nandoon sa dulo yung tinitignan ng Eluvial, yan yung obelisk. And then you can travel, and then pag may nakita ka or na-encounter ka na Eluvials, pwede mo siyang hulihin, tapos pwede mo siyang, sabi nga, intimate time. So sana all intimate. Sana all na-develop, di ba? So tapos yun, pwede ka rin makipag-battle sa arena, yung tinatawag na Levitian arena, tapos pwede kang pwede kang tumaya ng ETH or kung ano yung pwede mong itaya, parang winner takes all. So ganun yung concept niya ng game. So very exciting siya kasi maraming mode of the game. So pwede ka rin daw mag-mining, tapos pwede mong ibenta o mag-farming, pwede mong ibenta yung mga yon doon sa Eluvidex, no? Yun yung marketplace ng Eluvium. So a very very interesting game. So let's move on to the next question. Do you explore? And yeah, basically you explained it already. Do you explore and battle? Can you team up with this is the one maybe you can answer. Can you team up with friends?
Can you team up with friends? On launch, you won't be able to team up with your friends, unfortunately. The way that we're building the technology, we're trying to do it in a very modular way so that we can hit the targets that we're trying to hit. They are aggressive targets, so we have to make sure that we get that core gameplay loop done first. So when you first go into the world, you will be alone, and although you will have your drone with you, we have a little thing in the game called a polymorphic subordinate drone, and one of the ones that we've leaked so far, his name is Mozart, and we think that he's going to be one of the cutest and most sought after things in the game. So you do have someone with you to keep you company, but
Nice.
You won't be playing with other players, so to speak. But that doesn't mean that we're going to stop with the game that we've got set up. The whole point is we want to have a very modular system that means we can add elements every, say, 3 months, add extra regions, add maybe even new sets, new game modes, possibly even expansions, and maybe even completely separate games. So I've already written a couple of game design documents for totally separate games that could exist in this space. But whether or not we get to do that would depend on the council approving it. I would have to put it forward as a proposal that I would like to make an expansion or an additional game, and then the council would decide whether or not they think that that's a good idea. Some of my ideas are a little bit wacky and out there, so they might get shot down, but hopefully one or two of them get through.
Awesome. So a lot of a lot of in our community, we play, in teams, or we play games that, that we can, go together. So that's the reason behind
Yeah.
the question. So yeah.
No, we definitely appreciate it, and it is something that's on our agenda. If I could make it happen inside of the time frame that we've got, 100% it would be there. But we do have some pretty cool ideas for how team play might work in an auto battler, because it's a challenging question, but I like those ones.
Yeah, kinikilig na ba kayo, mga kapatid, dahil there's hope for the team play. So just
100%.
No, there definitely will be team play. Don't worry about that.
It'll happen, just maybe not straight away.
Awesome. So just a follow-up question. So we can farm, we can earn tokens in the game like Ethereum. With this question, I'm just curious, what is the essential use of token, and can you expand on utility of token and use case by HoloSwan?
Yep. So Aaron just touched on it briefly, but the core reasoning for that, there's two main reasons for the token. First one is governance. So something that we've set up very, very early on when you consider most projects in DeFi, we've literally launched the game as a DAO. And what that meant is very early on in our community, we did an airdrop, and that was for a decent, small, whatever, I guess it depends on the valuation when we see it, but a small amount of tokens that allowed our community members to vote. And we use a quadratic voting method, which means it's much, much fairer in terms of overall governance. And that first, our first vote was to put in place what we're calling the Illuminati Council. And so that's 5 members of the community that were elected by the community. And so essentially they're there to make decisions and deliberate on any new proposals that come through, whether they're configuration changes to the protocol or they're just improvements to the protocol. There's a method for any community member to be able to propose these things. And then if the council votes yes on them, there is a secondary DAO, the eDAO, which effectively puts those proposals in place and deploys the code. So that's the first, which is obviously very exciting, because it means we're essentially handing over the governance back to the people and the players of the game. And so on top of being able to own your own assets, you've got that feeling of, I can really make a difference if I want to change the direction the game goes in.
Awesome.
Second one, which is the one that really, really excites me, that I think a lot of people are sleeping on a little bit, and that's when you own the token and you have it staked, you are entitled to your portion of the revenue distributions in the game. And obviously Aaron touched on a couple of those things. There's things like marketplace fees when players are selling their Eluvials. Then you got travel fees, you can buy skins, enhancements, and of course the big one is curing your shards, so you can go and capture the Eluvials. All of these in-game revenues go into a vault, and every single week we distribute 100% of those revenues. And again, obviously that's subject to change. If someone writes a configuration change and says, look, 100% is just too much, I've actually got a plan to write a proposal for 2% of our in-game revenues to go to a charity, probably an animal conservation charity, because that's sort of what we've based the characters off, extinct animals. So the idea would be trying to make them not go extinct. But yeah, they're the two use cases. So if you've got 50,000 players plus, and they're all generating a bunch of revenue, and it goes into that vault each week, if you're holding on to that token, you're entitled to those revenues, and that's the only way that you're entitled to that. So we're trying to set it up in a way where people aren't going to be inclined to sell their token. It's not just a pump and dump, because you're watching as the game grows, your residual income grows as well, because each week you're going to this vault and you're claiming it. So that's sort of the two use cases for the ILV token.
Wow. So basically, you're giving power. I mean, you're giving the ownership to the players itself. And so they
100%.
can have the responsibility, either growing it, of course, and then
Mhm.
contributing into it, and for the long term of the game, of course.
100%.
So uh, we have here a very interesting. We have 15,000 as of January 21st, 15,000 strong community. So don't forget to join the Discord server of Eluvium. We will post the link in the comment section below. But it's easy to memorize, guys. It's discord.gg/Eluvium if you want to join. For the Filipino community, we have a special channel for Filipinos. So feel free to speak our own language. And of course, ask questions if you want to know more about the game. So, follow-up question for our guest for tonight. We've discussed your background a while ago with blockchain, and I'm curious why you choose to build on immutable in particular. We know right now most of the viewers are blockchain gamers or NFT gamers who are experiencing the pain of having interacting with a high gas fee in Ethereum. Um, why you choose to build on immutable?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that one. So we were originally, when we decided to start the game, one of the first things that I looked into was gas fees, because of the games that existed, that seemed to be the biggest concern, more so than games lacking coherent story or good graphics or good gameplay. It seems like the idea of play to earn is strong enough that there's a lot of people that can overlook little tiny issues with the game and go out and play. But the one thing that they can't really overlook is that financial aspect of gas fees. So we instantly started researching layer 2 solutions. At the time, our brother Kane with Synthetics was going through the same process. They ended up choosing to go Optimism, and they actually did recommend it to us at the start because they had gone on it and they knew the people. But even though Optimism is a fantastic platform, it doesn't really help us in the ways that we need to be helped, which is mainly with a gasless NFT marketplace. So when I researched a little bit further, we never wanted to leave Ethereum. We felt very strongly we wanted to keep the security of Ethereum layer 1 as our most important thing, because we're dealing with player assets and we need them to keep ownership and feel secure that they're not going to be hacked. So that effectively gave us one solution that was in the works. It's just about to be released now. It, by pure coincidence, happens to be a group of people who are in Sydney. So that allowed us to meet with them personally, because Kieran and I are in Sydney, even though the rest of our team are all over the world. And we spoke to them about what they could do for us, and it just matches perfectly what we want to do in the game. So we effectively will be able to do sub-second transactions. So you won't have to wait 15 seconds for anything. There's no 2-week period for security where you have to wait before you can exit out of layer 2 and onto layer 1. and it's gasless for minting and burning. And our game has a lot of minting and burning as part of the player process. It's allowed us to do some really cool things, like have a completely free to play on-ramp into the game. If you really want to, you can download the game, play it, learn what an affinity is, learn what a class is, start to understand how to strategize, how to fuse your characters together, encounters. You can do all of that, pay nothing. And at the end of, say, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however, a year, whatever you want to play it for free, if you decide that it's not the game for you, then there's no harm. You haven't input any money, because we really, really didn't want to have that same input at the start where people are putting $400, $500, $600 just to get started in the game. We feel like it's much better to let people decide for themselves based on playing it, whether or not they would like to put any money into it, because that's the fairest system that you can possibly have.
So basically, you're going to offer like a free to play version, and then if I want to, dive into this and go all in, I can start looking for an item or an Illuvial or a weapon to buy.
It's not really a free to play version of the game. It's the same game. It's just there is a tier of stuff in the game which it may have a small cost or value at the start of it in terms of what you could sell it for, but it'll have no cost to acquire that stuff. So eventually it'll go to zero, and that's not really the point. The point is to get people to learn how to play the game. And when you decide to put money into the game, you don't need to download a different client. You don't need to start anything. All you've got to do is, when you travel into those regions, just do one particular thing that it requires a fee, but the actual in-game mechanic, I won't go into too many details here. But once you do that, you're in the world for real, and you get to play with the big boys, and that's where you can capture tier 5 ultra rares, hollows. Maybe you can fuse some dark hollows and get some stuff that is going to be really rare, and we hope one day able to hold a really high value as well.
Awesome. So just a follow-up question. The Philippines, for example, is probably most of the players right now are into mobile games or using mobile. This question is very relevant. Does the players need a gaming phone, computer to play the game? Because I myself, I just decided to buy a PC like last January, because I know there's a lot of game to be excited about and wait for it, and then so I prepared myself to buy my own PC, but I'm comfortable right now playing on mobile. So this game is for mobile users and PC users as well.
Yeah, it's PC and Mac on launch. That's what we're going with, and everyone that has told us that they would prefer to play on mobile, we get it. It's not something that we're trying to neglect. It's just that there are a few sort of different issues that we would have to tackle to be able to do that, which would require us putting a decent chunk of the core contributors towards that particular platform. It's definitely going to happen. It just won't be at launch. And it'll be similar to the way that Teamfight Tactics and many other games like Dota Underlords started off with a PC client, because it is a little bit easier to have things be optimized for a PC. And then we will move it over to mobile. And it'll probably come in 2 stages. The gameplay of the ranked in the Leviathan arena, the auto battler, that'll probably come across first. Not because it's my thing that I like and Kieran likes the overworld stuff. It's more to do with the technology that we're building. It will require some extra bits and pieces to make sure that it's a good experience. So it'll come. I can't give you an exact date, but we appreciate everyone that wants to play on mobile. We'll have your backs. It's just not going to be.
We've already set a very, very aggressive date to be able to deliver the title that we're talking about. So I mean, as soon as we launched, or as soon as we announced in Discord, people were like, "Can we play on mobile? Can we play on mobile?" And it obviously is something that we definitely want to do, but it was just too much to put on our plate this year.
Right, right. So that's a good news for us because yeah, we play a lot on mobile. So for those people that are asking about Immutable X, you can go to, of course, the website of Immutable X. That's their layer 2 solution. Ito yung parang sagot nila para mabawasan yung gas fees, para mas madali yung interaction with the ecosystem ng Illuvium. So at least hindi na tayo yung mga common problems natin, paying for eat gas fees. Yung Immutable X yung solution nila, yun yung layer 2 solution nila para mas mapadali yung pag-mint natin or yung pag-transfer natin ng mga items dun sa game. So that's why yun yung dahilan kung bakit sila nag-launch with Immutable. So all right, so we're almost at the end of our Ask Me Anything session. Salamat Sando Gang for staying with us. But of course, we still have questions kasi mamimili pa yung ating dalawang founders ng questions. So you can choose Aaron and Kiran what questions you would like to ask, and those questions will win $50 each. And then of course, you can answer that. So but before that, could you tell us, you mentioned the Illuminati Council. Could you tell us more about the council, because most people in the Philippines right now are interested in participating, contributing into the community or into the game. Can you give us more details about it, and probably how can we participate, or how can we be part and contribute into the council or into the game?
Yep. So anyone who is holding the ILV token has the ability to vote in council members, and it's obviously not a complete democracy. It would just be way too messy if every single proposal that came through, we had, I think we've got 17,000 people in our Discord. If we had 17,000 people voting, it would just be too messy. And so the best way to handle that is to essentially elect these council members. It's obviously a moving target for us to get this right and make it the best structure that we can. Right now, we've gone with 5 council members, and so the majority needed to pass any proposal is 60%. And so basically, how the community can get involved. First thing is joining our Discord. That's where the majority of action happens. That's where we do our NFT airdrops and stuff like that. But secondly is getting your hands on some ILV in the balancer sale that's coming up on the 30th. Once you then have the governance token, every 3 months, and again, it's set at 3 months now. The council could literally change that with a vote tomorrow if they wanted to, and say, instead of it being 3 months, let's do it every month. Obviously, pre-game, there's not going to be as many IIPs and ICCPs that come through, which are essentially the proposals that people can write to change the platform. But certainly once the game launches, we think that there's going to be, similar to other protocols like synthetics, we know that people are going to want to change the game in certain different ways, and anyone is able to write a proposal, and as long as it has good rationale and good reasoning behind it, the council will then deliberate on that proposal. They'll look at it. If they need to, they'll jump on a call. And so it's really cool how it all plays out. It's essentially you as a holder of the token, you say, I believe this person is the best person to represent my vote, and then that person will then vote on your behalf. And ideally, that creates a sense of fairness in the community, where I might not get my way, but at least I know that it wasn't a centralized organization that was literally saying, this is how it goes, and tough end. It's
Well, I experienced voting recently for the council because I got an airdrop from the synthetics, being a synthetics member,
very
Discord
smart.
member, and early member of the server. So I had the opportunity to vote to choose for the Illuminati Council. So it's
Who
a
did you
good
vote for?
experience. It's a six. There's no leak. There's no, but
We're turning the
uh,
leaks back around on you.
Yeah.
yes, sir. But yeah, I endorse some people, of course. One of
Yeah.
those is Amy, because YGG endorsed Amy as a very intellectual when it comes to the game and in the community itself. So
She's
we
amazing.
endorse that.
Yeah.
Yes, and she's an amazing person. So I'm looking at this article from your Medium page. So that's illuvium.medium.com. So you raised recently a $5 million seed round from leading venture capital firms. Congratulations, sir.
Thank
So
you.
can you tell us the experience on this seed round, and what have learned so far with this seed round, and what did you discover on this stage?
It was horrendous. It nearly broke me. We look. We decided to capitalize on the bull market that was happening, and it even almost stronger than I guess where we're at now, where we're sort of going sideways across the big tokens right now. It was right when ETH was going from I think 700 to 1400. And so our pre-seed closed fairly quickly. Luckily, we had our brother Kane who decided to take up the majority of that. But then we also were able to get a bunch of through his help, and so I joke around, but he really did help us out. He got us in front of a lot of other influential people in DeFi. Some top 100 token holders ended up going in, some people from high up in big exchanges, which allows us to then start getting listings whenever we really want to. And then once we closed that off, we opened up the bigger seed round. And again, that's where getting a bunch of those influential people in the pre-seed, it allowed us to get introductions to all of the brands that you see, all of the firms that you see on the Medium post there. And which is really weird because I've had some experience in other startups in centralized land, which were extremely painful. Like you're doing whatever you can to try and just get in the door of a VC, and then all of a sudden I find myself, being inundated by emails and calls and people saying, please, let us. And it was just a crazy experience. But our strategy very quickly turned into not take as much money as we can, but take the smartest money we can. And so, it was all about that's why you see YGG is in there. There's a lot of these firms that can bring us value outside of just money and capital. And so, and a lot of them have already been demonstrating that for us. So yeah, that was the strategy that Danny, our partnerships manager, and I took. But the most brutal part about it was that we did it in like 2.5 weeks. So you can imagine how many meetings that would have taken to get done. And it's not exactly just one. Then when they get interested, it's like, let's jump on another call and another call. And so it was pretty brutal, but in the end, we achieved what we wanted to. And the most important thing is that we have now 2 years runway. No matter what happens, it doesn't matter if things turn into a bear market or whatever, we've got that 2 years runway locked away, and we know that we can build out this game the exact way that we want to and start expanding on it if the council permits it.
Wow, wow. From a startup founder myself, I understand what you're saying about choosing the smartest money than just any money coming
Hmm.
from venture capitalists, because it's really hard to work with people that looks after their benefit rather than the whole benefit of the project.
100%.
So, yeah,
I
I can
think
feel that. Yeah,
sorry to cut you off there. I
yeah,
think
go ahead.
one thing that's super important to mention about the pre and the seed round is these guys have most definitely taken up the most amount of risk. They're locked up for a 2-year period. And so we're getting a few comments in Discord and on Twitter and whatever saying, but you let the VCs in and they're just going to, as soon as the price pumps, they're going to dump. They
Right,
can't dump, for at least a 12-month period, and then they linearly unlock for another 12 months. So
right,
there would never, even if on the 366th day they decided I'm going to start dumping their tokens, they can only dump, a small portion of them. But again, we've focused on, if you look at those brands, they're in it for the long term. They believe in DeFi, and a lot of them now are strong believers in NFT gaming as well.
wow, that's awesome. So basically, guys, to explain it further, they're looking for, they have partners. They have not just investors but contributors into the game. So that's a very interesting look or perspective when it comes to raising funds. So, ayan guys, nakita nyo naman yung mga, ito yung mga venture capitalists or BCs na nag-invest into Illuvium. So, nakita nyo, very familiar din sa inyo yung mga names na yan, especially with YGG. Ayan, so pinapakita ko kanina, no? So, most of the viewers right now are part of the community as well. So we're very proud to be part of this, and we're excited to contribute into the game, of course. So we're about to end the AMA session. Do you guys have a particular question that you want to answer? Because we will choose the two winners for the $50 each. Maybe you can, select some questions. So, by the way, guys,
Maybe,
we're having, yeah, go ahead. So, Aaron.
So this one doesn't come up that often, and we've answered a lot of AMAs. So I'm sorry to everyone else who has asked very good questions, very legitimate, but I've heard them 763,000 times so far. But Graham Stevens said, "What inspires you to create this kind of game?" Nowadays, there's a lot of games that hits on the marketplace that are using human-based characters. Mm-hmm. That's something that I think a lot of people really underestimate. And I sort of knew it going into the game, but now that we have built it, I understand it very, very intimately. Making a game that is purely based on creatures that are all completely different, that there's 150 of them in the game, is an incredibly hard task. I don't know why we specifically did it, apart from to get that old school vibe of different sort of Pokemon style games where, you have a particular one that's your favorite. They're all different. They're all interesting. Human-based games, especially for the auto battler genre, are much, much easier to make. There's a lot of animations out there that can be done super easily. Each line that we do has dedicated animation for it. You can't share them at all because half of our things have a different number of legs, or they've got a head coming out a different place, or they're just so completely different that it makes it incredibly hard. What we're hoping that this will do is it'll put us into a niche in the market that no one else is willing to go, just due to the difficulty of making it. There's plenty of games out there that use 2D artwork, and they can be great games, but it is a little bit easier to develop that way. There's a lot of games that are 3D that use more of that blocky style of artwork that use humans. And again, they can be incredible games. People will have to decide if they like ours more than them. But when it comes to high quality artwork of memorable collectible creatures, it's a very, very, very tough bridge to go across, and I don't think that there's going to be many people following us over it.
Wow, wow, that's very interesting. So, wow, thank you for answering that. So the question would be, congratulations, Graham. What inspires you to create this kind of game nowadays? There's a lot of games that hits on marketplace. They're using a human-based character. So I hope that answers your questions and you can sleep at night very well, because it's very hot in the Philippines right now. It's summer. That's why we are Sando Gang. So, Kieran, have you already made a choice?
Yeah, so he sort of answered the one that I was going to answer anyway. So I will choose, and I'm the same with all these AMAs. I'm like, I've answered it. But I'm going to go with John Billy Legaspi Pistano.
Okay.
And he asks, is there a mystic or legendary character or items? So the short answer is yes, there's going to be, legendary characters. We've already shown them. We've already shown one of them, and that's going to be Ramfire. He is meant to be a Charizard, sort of a new age Charizard, I'll say. I won't say that he looks better or anything like that, because I do love Charizard. But yeah, it's new age. But I guess the biggest thing that we're doing that categorizes the rareness and the coolness of our characters is our art director back probably in October of last year. He went into a deep, dark cave that just had him and his PC for about a 2-week period. We didn't hear from him. And he came out and he said, I've solved the world's first 4D holographic shader that is truly holographic. And that's you've probably seen some of the NFTs around. That's the super hyper shiny ones. That's what you see at the end of the video. There's going to be, so that has never been done before, that shader. And so that's going to be used across all of our alluvial characters. And so there's commons, which are obviously non-holographic. Then you've got the holographics, which is right there. So that's your normal holographic. And then there is one even rarer, which is we're calling it dark hollow, which we haven't revealed, and I refuse. I refuse to leak it. I'm not going to leak it tonight. Maybe one day. But I've seen these dark hollows, and being a Pokemon lover, collection lover, I just cannot wait to get my hands on one of these dark hollows. And the fact is that they're so rare that I may have to accept that I may never get a dark hollow. But yeah, so they're the main differentiators of the characters, and that's, I guess, what makes them legendary and whatever.
Awesome. So, guys, thank you for staying with us. This, it's already 9 p.m. It's too early for us compared to Aaron and Kira. It's already midnight to them. So, pasalamatan naman natin yung mga guests natin ngayong gabi, ang founders ng Eluvium, si Kieran and Aaron. Comment salamat. Salamat is thank you in English. So, comment salamat dahil sa bigay ng permiso sa atin para magkaroon tayo ng AMA session ngayong gabi. So I hope marami kayong natutunan ngayong gabi, marami kayong nabaon, no, na mga exciting information. Now, make sure lang na kayo ay magjo-join sa Discord server ng Illuvium. Ayan, salamat. Just comment salamat. At i-follow nyo yung kanilang YouTube and Twitter channel. Join sa Discord server. Meron tayong special channel niyan sa Sando Gang server, and of course sa official Discord server ng Eluvium. So, any last words from our Sando Gang community, Aaron and Kieran? But before that, just want to thank you for giving this opportunity to ask you questions and give us some leaks. Maybe we will try to do it again and ask you for more leaks, but because most of our viewers are very excited, they're willing to, take my money. But guys, we're also excited to play the game. No, narinig nyo naman na talagang papakita muna sa atin yung game before we invest or we put money into it. So that's a good guarantee that we are in a good community, good game community and developers and founders na inuuna muna yung mga gamers, di ba? Bago yung mga greedy developers na puro bibili ng skin, di naman tayo kumikita. So we buy skin but we don't make money. So because we play a lot of games that we pay a lot of skins just to make our game look good in our stream. But anyway, any last words from you, Aaron and Kieran?
I'll say one thing. We do a lot of our, I touched on it earlier, but a lot of our action happens in Discord. We've taken a little bit of a different marketing strategy to most tokens out there. We do a lot of giveaways and they're promo NFTs, and I think that they're going to be amazing in 5 years' time when no one can get them. So definitely join our Discord. It's a lot of fun in there. We've got very fun users like Amy and Ra and a whole bunch of other ones. So yeah, get in there and you might win something very valuable.
Awesome. Aaron?
Yeah, before we wrap it up, I don't want to get too much into leaks, but I'm sure that if you give Kieran a few hours, there'll be some sort of a leak in our Discord community. So there's no problem with that. But I just wanted to say salamat Sando Gang to you guys as well. It's been great.
Woohoo! Awesome. Thank you for doing that. I mean, yeah, we appreciate it. And guys, the launch, there will be launch in March 30 for the balancer. So make sure na mag-join kayo dun sa Discord server for more information and mag-participate kayo doon sa kanilang mga airdrops. No? Meron silang mga NFT airdrops doon sa Discord channel. Kayang-kaya nyo sumali mag-participate doon and take advantage of that kasi ngayon pa lang we're early adopters, we're positioning ourselves. So salamat Sando Gang. Yeah. So let's play this game now, of course. Yeah. So again, Aaron and Kieran, thank you. Maraming salamat for the opportunity. I hope to see you again next time for another leaks or another AMA session or another session for our community. And good night. Good night to you guys.
Thanks. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Awesome. All right. Guys, maraming salamat sa pag-tune in sa ating channel ngayong gabi. Salamat sa pag-stay. And doon sa mga nanalo ng $50 natin, ibibigay po natin yung pa-premyo na yan. Hintayin nyo lang yung aking message. Tapos message nyo na rin ako sa Facebook page para at least magkaroon tayo ng communication. So ibibigay natin yung pa-premyo nyo. Asahan nyo pa po na magkakaroon tayo ng maraming AMA session at magkakaroon tayo marami pang ibang information dito sa ating page and dito sa ating channel. Huwag nyo kalimutan mag-subscribe doon sa ating of course, YouTube channel, di ba? Huwag niyo kalimutan din mag-follow sa ating page at kung gusto niyo mag-send na rin kayo ng ang tawag nito, mag-send na rin kayo ng stars, no? Para at least meron kaming rebate program na tinatawag. Ayan si Spracky tsaka si Ian, nagbibigay kami ng mga rebate sa mga stars doon sa Facebook natin. So again, maraming salamat mga kasando. Until next time, see you and bye-bye.